Episode 200, Chief.
Man, we are here.
Congrats to us.
Yes. Yeah.
It's been a journey. We're still on it, but who'd ever thought, sitting up in a random shop in Frisco one night after a quick phone conversation that we'll be here 200 episodes later.
I can honestly say this. I mean, you embark upon something and you're gung ho about it. You're excited and you get moving, and you don't think 200 of these, bro.
Like, we turned into an assembly line.
Yeah,
cranking them out.
I mean, there's a ton of people to give a lot of shout outs to. So I'll say this at the very beginning of the show. If we missed you, it's not because, we don't have love for you or we're not grateful or appreciative. It's a lot of people out there, you know what I mean, that's helped in this.
But that being said, though, let me say thank you to some people who really helped us get off the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have to say thank you to Edwina Brown.
Yep. And
the entire staff at Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. Now 35 and Pleasant Run in Lancaster, Texas. EB, thank you so much. You know how we feel about you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we have to go OG.
Oh, man. Jeff here, the Stu Gentleman in Farmers Branch. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The people who have, just given us, and people say giving them game, but people who just given us their wisdom along the way, even when they didn't have to. Like, one of the first people I think of is the OG Tex.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to you, OG. I mean, when you do something like this, right? We're in agreement that you don't get there without the help of others.
Yeah, and that's anything in life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, we can't think of everybody in this moment, but thank you to everybody. We
have to say big thank you to Paul Rogers from Nexum Creative. He is changing the game in the podcast world or podcasting world. Truth be told, I mean, he really gave us a lot of game.
Yes.
And just did it off of GP,
Yeah. So, congrats on a new baby again, Paul.
Yeah.
Man, it's a lot of people we can thank. Just from where we started, right? Like, we started without any editing skills.
None. And still don't have.
Yeah, we still don't have those.
Skills.
Thank God for Adam.
Yes.
Recording episodes with a cell phone or on top of a red Solo cup.
Mm-hmm.
Birds chirping in the background.
Yep. Staying up till 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Doing 2 or 3 episodes in one night.
Yep.
Like,
having to go to work the next morning.
And 2-3 hours later, multiple jobs.
Yeah.
Kids. I already know you're hilarious. You're hilarious. Yeah, man, it's been this has been super fun. Me personally, right? Like, growth from a business acumen standpoint.
Yeah,
learning from you, much appreciated.
I've seen you grow a lot.
I told you a long time ago to trust your mind on some of these things, and I've been able to learn by osmosis and download some of the skills that you have. I feel like every day I'm working closer and closer to like that happy medium of my personality, which is, let's do it now, versus like take a beat, maybe take 2 beats before pushing the start button on something. So I appreciate you for that, sir.
Yeah.
I think just the people ask us all the time, like, well, what else do y'all do? And now we got an entire Rolodex for whatever somebody might need that we can help them out on. You need a divorce lawyer, we got you. You need a banker, we got you. You need people in real estate, we got you. You need somebody to fix your roof, we got you. You need a pen pal in prison, we got you. You need to talk to somebody from the world of modeling or the LGBTQIA+, we got you. Like, whatever you need to talk to a farmer, we got you.
Yeah.
You want to talk to somebody who thinks the earth is flat, we got you. You need your taxes done. Like, that's the cool part about it. When you and I first started this, we thought, like, okay, we want this to serve as a launching pad for others.
Yep.
But lo and behold, it has turned into somewhat of a launching pad for us, and just allowing us to have our hands or tentacles, if you will, in various pots in the business realm.
Yeah, it certainly has opened up some opportunities. external to the podcast, right? Relationships have developed, businesses have started.
Did I hit a home run today?
Yeah, you did.
I appreciate that.
Well, we don't know yet, but you hit the ball flush. But
it's in the air.
Yeah, seems like it. But meeting some phenomenal people, man. I feel so humbled, when you talk to people that, have been filed for bankruptcy and then all of a sudden, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, but have worked their way out of that and then become multi-millionaires, i.e. Matt Sapala, right? Or you meet fantastic people like Anthony Trucks. And I mean, the list goes on, but you start to catalog these conversations, right? And we talk about it all the time, if you pick up the nuggets of wisdom that they're leaving, I mean, it really can lead you to the life that you want to live. And I think that's on the outside of the podcast, behind or outside of the cameras, right? That's what we're starting to do. Like, those doors are opening and we're in those conversations, we're in those rooms and we're shaking those hands. And so it's been really kind of cool to see that. And I think we talk about growth, right? One of the things I want to give you a shout out for is, me, I'm a little bit more tactile, right? I'm a little bit more of a technician. But there's something to jumping out of the plane and building a parachute on the way down, right? Life is about balance. We certainly have learned that through this incredible journey as well. But I think the ability to connect with people from all over, at least the States. I don't know if we've talked to anybody overseas yet, but
there is that one gentleman in the UK, but between, work schedules and the time difference, we got to figure that part out. But yes, you're correct.
We talked to people from all over this country, right? I just went on a trip out of the country because of something that persons or people that we met through the podcast, right? Like, those are experiences that are so rich, have enriched my life, that I'm very grateful for. So it's really cool to kind of, start from nothing. And I think that's oftentimes what we're talking about to people, no matter where you are within your life. If you are transitioning out of a W-2 into a 1099 or into a, self-employment role or whatever it is that you're doing, right? Like, you can literally start from nothing and build it into something. We before we even record it, we have people saying, hey, we want to be on the show, and, I like what you're doing, and, that last episode with so-and-so was dope. And, of course, we had my Uncuffed episode a couple of months ago. I'm still constantly getting hit up on that, and it's like, I get random texts like, bro, that resonated so well with me. Thank you for sharing, and we're not going to go into all that, but it's just really cool to see that not only are we growing as individuals, the show's growing itself, but our audience is also growing too.
Yes.
Right? And having people say, hey, this really impacted me. We had conversations years ago at this point where it was like, hey, we just want to impact one life. And we get a DM a couple of years ago. It talked about how impactful these episodes have been to that person. And, we check that box. And then, you look up years later, we do the golf tournament, right, to benefit the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society as well as the Alzheimer's Association. So we're actually raising hard dollars that, that have lives on the other end of that, right? Like, how freaking cool is that? And then, the other thing that I would say in terms of, like, just growth and what this show has allowed us to do is, to connect with other people.
Yes, right? That's the growth, the the ancillary stuff of it all, right? The outside of the circle is the true connections we've got with people, like you said, not even just here in DFW, but all across the United States. Like, shout out to Leo in Georgia, shout out to Goldie in North Carolina. Like, it's really cool when you sit back and think about it. Like we could take a trip to somewhere random in the United States, and we could probably pick up the phone and call somebody who smokes sticks in that particular part, or they can direct us. I mean, Father's Day weekend, I take a trip to L.A. to go to a golf tournament, and I run into Matty Rock of Drew Estate. Shout out to Matty Rock. And so I'm like, oh, okay, it's a Drew Estate guy. And, I'm I'm here from Texas, blah, blah. Sure enough, Mr. Ryan Rayford comes up in conversation. He's like, oh, yeah, of course I know him. He's like, well, you're good with me. And then, he hooks me up with sticks or whatever. So, this is a guy I've never met. He's from New Jersey. Right. So it's one of those things to where the connections with people are really, really valuable. I think, as they say, relationships are worth more than money a lot of times. And so we are living that on a daily basis.
Yeah, and you said money, right? And so now you triggered the financial symposium that we collaborated with BWR.
Yep.
On,
right? Shout out to Jalen and David.
Yeah, like that is impactful in a real way. How I can't tell you how many people came up to us after that and was like, "When's the next one?" And I don't think we were really, prepared.
We had
for
no
that.
clue.
Yeah,
we had no clue.
And that's, I know your word that you wanted to talk about is growth, and we'll stay there as well. But I think for me, intentional, right? Being intentional is such a.
That's a very good word.
It's a very, very good word that I think I'm going to carry into 2024. And we had Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs on the show, and and this is honest God truth, man. Like earlier today, before we were getting ready, before we set up and everything, I was getting ready and I was thinking about being intentional, and I was listening to some gospel music as I was getting ready and everything, and it dawned on me in that particular song and lyric, it was like, talking about being intentional, expecting God to do certain things. Like we don't walk. Oftentimes we're not walking through life with that purpose, right? With the intent or to understand like, hey, this is going to happen. Like our mentality oftentimes is, oh, I hope it does. Maybe it could. If I work really hard, it should, right? But we don't walk with intentionality, right? And I think when Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs gave us that example of his grandmother on, his story of she won't get paid till Friday, but I got you covered. You just got to make it from Monday to Friday. Mm-hmm. And him knowing that, hey, on Friday we finna get paid, I'm going to get groceries and we'll be good to go. Knowing that is one thing, and acting as if it's already happened, that was so monumental. And I just want to encourage people out there to go back, listen to the first episode that we had with Dr. Jake. He talks about this, example or analogy with his grandmother. But let's start walking in purpose. Let's start walking with intentionality. Let's start walking with a level of expectation.
It's funny you mentioned the word intentional and conducting yourself as if, we always talk about speaking things into existence or speaking things as though they are, as if they've already happened, so on and so forth. And I'm in a fight right now on really trying to like break through a barrier. And I had to remind myself every day since I've been working on this project, I had to remind myself every day, like, it's already done. It's already done. Like, you've done what you're supposed to do. And part of it is like, you got to, quote unquote, depend on the people to do their thing. But it's like, I know for a fact I've done everything that I'm supposed to do in this particular situation. And so I have to remind myself every single day, it's already done. God's got it. You have done what you're supposed to do. Now turn it over to him and let him handle it. Yeah,
but now here's the last part to that, right? It's I expect.
Indeed.
And it's a walk. It's, Dion's real popular right now, right? In Colorado, he's doing some amazing things up there with those young men.
It's personal, baby.
Yeah. but think back to, Dion was like a big figure for me because that's who I watched when I played football, and it's so impactful. And hand of God, this is earlier this week. You look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. You play good, they what?
They pay good.
They pay good, right? And that's kind of that attitude that he exudes, right? But it's the same thing with like expecting and having this expectation that I know I did the work, right? So it's going to happen. Now let's get on to the next thing. Like really walking in that mentality, man. That is the number one. That's going to be the thing that I'm carrying into 2024 and moving forward with, because, this year was about reconstruction, deconstruction, or deconstruction, reconstruction for me. But after that, I think the words is intentionality and expectations, right?
Is it sad that as you were talking about the word good, all I could think about was James Brown on that CNN interview when they asked him about him, and he was like, I look good.
Yeah.
I smell good.
Yeah.
I make love good. That's all I could think about was James
Brown. And that's
Brown.
Mo for you guys, folks.
I couldn't help it.
This is literally how we talk on a daily basis.
I couldn't help it. It just came to me as you were saying. Yeah. I apologize.
No, it's cool, man. I mean,
you're right though. Like there is the work, the faith, the belief, and then there is the full blown expectation. Like I've done what I was supposed to do. I expect said result because I've taken care of what I need to take care of throughout the process.
Yeah.
So if you handle the process properly, the end result takes care of itself.
And I think when we start to elevate our minds, I don't even call it a shift, but like elevate and think in that capacity, more and more good things start to come.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Like those are the things that now you can start to go back and teach others on how to do certain things because you've walked it, you talked it, you've experienced it, but you can experience it because you expected it. Like, the show's called Vision Lab, right? We always talk about the vision, but there's so much depth and so many different layers to that word in particular. And I think that the bow that ties it all together is expecting your vision to come true.
This being the Vision Lab.
Yes, sir.
And as you've been saying, like the word vision is ringing in my head.
Come on.
I think it's super cool to see the vision that we mapped out after a 4-hour sit down at Industrial in Frisco. Shout out to the Frakes family. It's amazing to see what has come to fruition after mapping out that original vision. And like everybody we've encountered, right? Like you make a plan.
Yeah.
You set out on a journey, and you have to make adjustments and tweaks and things like that along the way. But ultimately, if you stay dedicated to the process, you will start to see flickers of like, oh, this is what it is I set out to do is a very real possibility. Or in our case, the vision of what it is we wanted to do, we have seen bits and pieces of it like really come to fruition. Like you said, now we get a DM all the time. Hey man, we really love that episode, or hey, this touched me in a certain way, or like you said, your uncuffed episode. Like man, and people were calling you just to check on you, right? Because obviously everybody didn't know, but people were just saying like, hey, a certain favorite of ours was like, hey, if you need to get out, man, let me know. So it's really cool to see from where we started to where it is now. And I mean, also, we still got work to do, but we're a walking testimony. Like, hey, if you really like put your nose to the grindstone and really work for it, like you can really make some stuff happen.
Yeah,
and we started literally from scratch.
At a phone.
And a phone, scratch and a phone.
Yeah.
Like, hey, proof that iPhones get one cuff. Proof that iPhones can do anything. And I just let y'all in, visionaries. Cuff is one of these people who won't get an iPhone. So the group chat between Cuff, Adam, and myself is very interesting. Cuff discovered emojis about 3-4 months ago, right, Adam? Roughly 3-4 months ago. Yeah, he discovered liking messages in the group chat, so that's always hilarious in the group chat on our thread.
I need to see what it looks like on y'all's end.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure Adam has the same reaction whenever you hit that button. It's like, oh, he just can't help himself. So visionaries, if we need to start a GoFundMe to get Cuff an iPhone. I mean, you're busy, man. So you get 2 phones. It's okay. One of them needs to be an iPhone.
So it's funny that you mentioned that. After the heels of the conversation that we had today in our meeting, it's plausible. No, for real. It's plausible that my next phone will be an iPhone, but it won't be my personal phone. It'll be the business line.
That's fine. It's a start.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere.
And I've always said that though, but like that one's saying, Jordan life forever, man. Listen, I keep telling y'all, I'm not a sheep. I'm not a sheep. So y'all. All of your technology comes from Android anyways. You know that.
I don't know that.
Yeah, well, Adam knows that.
I just know that iPhones are super popular and they're so much more easy to work with.
Let's just do what everybody else does.
In certain things, it's probably the best way to go.
No.
I mean, most people take care of their kids and know you're not fighting against that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't see my kids all the time. If you want to go there. So.
I did not mean to go there that,
hey,
but touche, sir. Touche.
Check and mate, my boy.
Amen. Received. Yeah. Checkmated. So we've got, 2 months remaining in the year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 months. What do you think about November and December of 2023?
From the show's perspective?
Yeah, it's open-ended.
Or just,
it's
know,
us.
I
We
think,
answer to nobody.
So for me, on a personal level, it's, you talked about nose to the grindstone. As we kind of equate this to, the show itself, we set, like you said, like 4 hours at the cigar shop and put it on paper. The Bible talks about writing the vision, making it plain, right?
And though it may tarry.
Yeah. So for me, like these next 2 months, there's a number of businesses that I don't want to say getting off the ground because they're already off the ground, but I'm going to be putting more steam behind. So I've been leveraging the last 40 days or so to kind of think about like how I want to do some things. So for me, it's putting more steam behind those businesses. I've got a couple of, I won't say it on the show just yet, but I've got 3 projects that are going to be really, really cool that are coming out that I really want to get done by the end of the year. One really before Christmas. And then, out for the heels of the conversation that we had today, once
the dust settles,
once everything settles and some funds are recognized, I think it really sets us up to do a lot of special things in 2024. And that's just going to make that I will be extremely busy, right, for the next 60 days or so. So I'm excited. When it's like when you're running and you understand that you need to get another win, your pace may not be the same. And I'm talking about a distance run, right? Sometimes you got to just call back a little bit and hold your reserves because you're about to push for another stretch.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I've been, and I know that period is transitioning into, okay, now we're going to get ready to really push. So as I close out one season in my life and get ready to begin another season, like it is full bore. And so I'm excited. I really, really am excited. My 2 beautiful daughters are doing some amazing things, and it's, as a father, right, like you're here to provide and protect for them. So for me, it's like over the next couple of years as they get older, I want to make sure they're in positions, where they need to be, right? So these next couple of months set up those next couple of years.
Yes, sir.
Those next couple of years set up the following 5 to 10 years. You know what I mean? So like real similar to the show in that take the time, think about it, think it through, and then put the action behind it, right? Build the parachute on the way down. And then the last thing, like I talked about before, is now for me, I think that the secret sauce is that expecting it to win, expecting it to work, expecting, greatness to come from it. So that's really where I'm at, like putting it all together, man, like, write it down, see it, put the steam behind it, all the businesses, expecting it to work. And it's going to be fun.
It definitely is going to be fun. We are both looking forward to the conversation we had earlier today. Like, you had taken a trip to
Colombia.
Yeah, you took a trip to Colombia.
What up, Seven?
And my whole thing was like, all right, when he gets back, I mean, I'll of course hold down the fort, whatever. But like when he gets back, like let's see what else like we can drop in the TVL pot that can help us take another step. And lo and behold, I had a conversation with the lady, and the particular business venture that she is going to help us with, you've been sitting on that hill for 2 years. Yep. And when she broke it down,
nobody was listening to me.
And when she broke it down, I told her, I said, hey, my business partner's out of the country right now. I said, but when he gets back, I'm going to tell him about this, and he's going to want to talk to you about that. Yeah. And we had that conversation today, and it went very, very, very well.
Timing's everything, and I've had a very educational year.
I think we all have.
For sure. But I haven't lived anybody else's life.
True.
So I can tell you that I've learned a shit ton this year. And one of those things that I learned is that there are seasons in our lives, right? A season could be, 90 days. It could be 1 week. It could be a day. It could be an hour, whatever that is, right?
It could be 4 plays for Aaron Rodgers.
4, yeah.
That was wrong with me. I apologize. I couldn't help that. I'm sorry.
But,
it just came out.
You know, there are specific seasons in our lives, and I think we kind of talked about this once before, but you know, I'm a fervent believer of seed time harvest. Like, it's a biblical principle, seed time harvest, right? And so what I recognized earlier this year was that I have been planting a lot of seeds. Hopefully those seeds are on good fertile ground. They allow, you know, you give it the time, they sprout out, they give you a harvest, right? Not all seeds are gonna sprout, and that's just the way it goes. But like, I've also learned in these seasons that not everything is meant to be right now. You know what I mean? There is that time period, that time element means you have to wait. And so that, like, having to wait is not a bad thing. But while you're waiting, make sure you're productive, you know, and you're doing other things, planting other seeds in other areas for those to later on, you know, give it the time, and then it will give it your harvest.
So this is a funny thing, right? I think this is one of the internal discussions I have with myself from time to time. Yes, we want everything to happen now, but we also understand that easy come, easy go. But then we also understand that time is not promised. Every day is not promised to us, right? So it's this catch-22 of, well, yes, some things are worth waiting for, but then none of us really know how much time we have.
Well, then it really doesn't make a difference.
What you mean?
Well, if your time expires before you get what you're looking for at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Well, no, because you're dead. But
so, I mean,
once you're gone, right? But I'm saying that's the conundrum, right? Like,
but it's not.
You're told to save and be patient, but on the other hand, like, at the same time, we don't know how much time we're actually promised.
When I'm talking about
what's the balance of it all? Where's the middle ground?
When I'm talking about being patient, what I'm saying is that it's not your time yet.
Okay.
Not the element of time, like in a linear sense. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about this ain't for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're not ready for this right now.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I understand.
So there's things that I've learned over the course of this year. It's been such an educational year that we're not talking about a linear, you know, time continuum. We're talking about
we're not talking chronological.
Chronologically, yeah. We're talking about I'm not ready in this season, right? I'm not whatever. You know, there's a reason why, you know, you're not a billionaire because you can't handle it right now. Right? So that's what I'm talking about also with the word season and time. Like, you have to wait for when you are ready, but you got to do the things that you got to do to get to that point, right? That time doesn't mean that you need to be stagnant and not working and sharpening your skill sets, et cetera. Again, like I said before, you know, other seeds. It means right here, right now, this ain't your season to be X. Your season is coming. As long as you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know what I'm saying? Then as long as you continue to do that, and this is what we were talking about earlier with you, then you're ready for it. Now it's time to expect it.
And I firmly, with all the fervor in my being, I am definitely ready for it on multiple levels. Like, somebody asked me about it the other day. And they were like, well, when this happens, like, what are you going to do? I was like, man, I already got it mapped out in my book. And anybody who's seen me, like, I keep a notebook everywhere I go.
You're welcome.
What?
Go ahead.
Well, tell me now.
Go ahead.
You stop me. Tell me now.
Well, no, it's okay.
Well, somebody said, you know, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I already have a plan in regards to how, like, what the next steps are going to be, right? Like, I've written it out. Not in excruciating detail, but there is a very firm skeleton guideline. Like, there's a path already written and laid out to where, like, okay, this is going to happen, and here's how we're going to proceed as we move forward and truly change the trajectory of everybody associated with me.
So you started the episode with your word being growth.
Mm-hmm.
How have you grown to this point, right? What you just said.
Listening to people who have done things that I haven't done yet.
Like, were you saying those same type of words, or did you have that same mentality or that same fervor?
I had the same mentality in in regard to, I mean, since you met, I've been hurry up and go since you met me. I've been hurry up and do since you met me. Like we had this talk, 2 months ago, right? Like you were a wide receiver. I was a defensive lineman. So my decision, as you know, I'm really good at crunching numbers. Like, my brain is wired to be able to process information super fast and be able to make super fast decisions. Now, the balance of it all is that even though I am wired that way, I have acquired the skill to, while I can still make decisions and handle things on the fly pretty quickly, I'm also able to incorporate the information that is available to me at said time in order to make a more informed decision. It's not that, obviously, not making uninformed decisions or whatever, but it's just the ability to, what it is it's the ability to process even more information in the process of making a decision. That's what it is. That's what it is. Now that we're on that subject. Versus, like, so, we talked about, like, you're out there in space a little bit. And so
hopefully
you get to see things happening from distance, whereas I'm right in the mix of
There's
everything.
more information that I have to process. Well,
but you have more time to process that too.
But yeah, so, and I love this is a great analogy.
Go ahead and break it down to them.
So as you're running a route, right, not only do you have to know where you're going, you got to know what the defender's doing, what other defenders are doing, right? Is the safety coming down? Is he rolling over the top?
Is he squatting?
Right. Is he squatting? I mean, there could be 4 or 5 different things off of what that one person does. Oh, and what is my quarterback doing, by the way? Like,
what is he seeing?
Right. What is he seeing? So this, it's really good that you said, because for me, like I'm rolling with you. Like I'm right there with you. So I think that based off of our personalities and why we work very well together is that I do kind of look at it from a much different perspective. I mean, we had a conversation, was that today? About, hey, should we do such and such? And I was like, no.
It was today/yesterday. Yeah. It's all a blur.
Yeah. And so, as I process the information, I also have to look, okay, a little bit further. So I think it's very interesting that kind of, from a defensive lineman's perspective, the ability to analyze in a short period of time and move, I think it's very appropriate. I think that's a great freaking analogy. Same thing for, receivers, et cetera. And I think it makes sense to us. It doesn't have to make sense to everybody else, but I pick up what you're putting down.
Those who understand are meant to understand it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I think, to further answer your question, like, one of the people who I really, really respect their opinion in regards to the field I work in, she told me a couple weeks ago, she said, Ryan, she said, I love what you're doing. She said, but just listening to you talk, we had a 15, 20-minute conversation. Like we talk about once every 4 to 5 weeks. Like just check in. Hey, how you doing? What do you got going on? Blah, blah, blah. Shout out to Dr. Goodburns, by the way. Megan, we appreciate you, Holmes. Thank you very much. She said, just listening to you talk, she said, you're going to be just fine. She said, the authority with which you speak on what it is that you're doing.
She probably felt like she was in a pinball machine.
No, not at all. I'm sure some people probably do feel that way. But here's the thing, right?
Where did that come from?
But here's the thing, right? I'm going to get to that here in just a second. She's like, this the authority with which you're speaking. She's like, you are very clear and direct on what it exactly is that you're doing. She's like, you weren't like that 3 years ago. She said that wasn't. She's like, you had the same energy towards it. Yeah. She was like, but just the way you are telling me what it is that you're doing and how you're going to go about doing it. She was like, you have come leaps and bounds. And she was like, you're going to be just fine. She's like, you ever need anything? She's like, you know who to call, so on and so forth. Now, to your point, what you just said about being in a pinball machine. I went to an event last night with one of our favorite people in the title company world. And, she introduced me to some people. And I'm aware of that. I'm self-aware to understand that everybody's mind doesn't go like mine, right? And so, you tell people.
I think everybody's mind does function like that. It just doesn't come out that way.
Maybe so. So, to your point, people say, well, what do you do? Well, okay, this is what I do. And most of the time, like, I'm in a space not a lot of us are in. And they're like, what? And I say, yeah. I give them 20 seconds. Here's exactly what I do on a daily basis. And so the guy asked me, he said he was confused in the sense of like, well, wait a minute, how do you have that type of access? So that's what he's really asking. And so I said, look, man, this is how I do it. And I broke it down in 3 sentences because I was thinking, okay, Ryan Cuffey, simplicity, clear, direct, concise, to where there's no room for
it is what it is.
There's no room for ambiguity or anything like that. And he said, I get it. He said, what's your phone number?
You're welcome. You're welcome, Moses.
Yeah. So I'm aware enough to realize that everybody's not going to work like a Tasmanian devil like I am, but I'm on a different path than a lot of people in regards to what it is I'm trying to get done. And that's not good, bad, indifferent, or fault of anybody else. But I know what it is I'm trying to get done, and I'm trying to make it happen on a daily basis. And my wife asked me the other day before she went somewhere. She said, well, where's so-and-so? She's like, I haven't heard that name in a while. I said, I ain't nothing against him. I said, but we're on a different path, and I'm trying to get something done. You are the average of the 5 people you talk to the most. He's not in it. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Like if he walked in right now, I'd be like, man, what's up?
Yeah.
But what he does on a daily basis and how he spends his free time, I just don't have that in me right now.
No, that's good, Mo. Honestly, that's good. Like, trimming the fat. It ain't no love loss, but at the end of the day,
he's a good dude.
You got a wife and a daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck what you talking about. Like, I have to take care of. Like, you're the man. You got to provide and protect. You know what I mean? And you have a vision on your life, on your family's life, and where you're trying to put generations, to come, right? And then, I think this is the thing that really bothers me about society now. Everybody is so apologetic, and they always preface like, hey, this isn't meant to offend anybody. Well, if it offends anybody, like, okay, that's okay. Like, we live in such a sensitive society now.
Well, there's a way.
No, why does it have to be a way?
So,
why can't I just say this is what I'm doing and I'm not rocking with that person because they're not getting down like I'm getting down? It ain't no love lost, but I got to do what I got to do.
There is a way. I agree
and
with you.
Where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I agree with you, but there is a way to say something that will probably be received by another person as offensive. But there's a way to do it to not leave a mark, where they can understand, like, oh. There's a way to relay something to where it's like, hey, you and I are on different wavelengths, but there's a way to do it to where like they don't feel like you're leaving a mark on them.
Why are you responsible for how I feel?
You're not. I'm not. But that's just human nature.
No, it's not.
It's human nature.
This is new age, bro. They didn't do this shit 20 years ago. We didn't grow up like that.
No, no.
Case
I told one of my friends the other day.
Let me dumb this all the way down, right? On football field, Pee-wee, Pop Warner, right? Let's say you screwed up on a play. Your coach maybe would have said, what are you doing? And smacked you across the head, right? Mom and dad would have seen it. Y'all would have got in the car, gone home, like, hey, why'd you mess up on the play? Nowadays, same kid gets hit in the head by his coach. This dude is all over social media. It's viral, blah, blah, blah. We live in such a soft society and soft culture, and I'm saying this because people will often preface. This is what happens with sentence structure. Somebody will start their thought. They'll start to speak their sentence. Then they'll stop about halfway through and say, I'm not. This doesn't. I'm not trying to say this or I'm not trying to say that. You have to define or clarify what you're saying instead of just saying, well, 1, 2, ABC, 1, 2, 3. I'm a little irritated about that because I why do I have to defend or protect you from what my thoughts are? You know what I'm saying? Like I can't stand. So
there's a balance to it all, right?
Why?
Because all right, so on a grander scale, you and I are the last generation. Like, we know what it means to be at your grandparents' house and, the uncles and all the adult men are in the back room playing cards or dominoes or whatever. We know what it means to be in the room and your job is to shut up and hold the pencil and you speak when spoken to, right? My dad was man of the house at 15, 16 years old. My father-in-law, man of the house. No, sorry. He left the house at 16, 17 years old. So when you talk about in regards to being offensive and people's feelings are right, like those two gentlemen along their journeys in life, it got to the point like that they didn't have time for feelings.
That's my point.
Now.
So what you said earlier, though, I want to make sure that our visionaries are following this. What I'm talking about is how, you were saying, hey, listen, I don't have time for so and so because they're not moving at the same speed or same rate.
Mm-hmm.
And ain't nothing against him. Like that little part right there, I don't like. Why do you have to say nothing against him? Listen, I'm not rocking with dude because he ain't moving like I'm moving. Period.
Yeah.
It's not a semicolon. It is a period. We like dictation, so
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
The evolution of that is, right, because what happens is society evolves, people evolve, and household dynamics evolve. And so my dad and my father-in-law were wise enough to understand that, like, hey, the way that I grew up or the way that my dad handled us, while it did help me to have a certain mentality and work ethic to get to where I am now, they also understood that, like, it leaves scars, and it's a bit of programming in the sense that, like, okay, I can't handle. They both said, like, I don't want to handle my kids in that exact way, and I say that because I had this conversation with my wife the other day. This is probably why I wound up having a daughter, because I wasn't just the biggest person on feelings in regards either. Right. Yes, I love my wife, and I will do bodily harm to anybody behind my wife. But then having a daughter and realizing that, like, what I say,
it's the tender side of
what I say matters, and that having a daughter, people say, well, what happens when you have a kid? If you have a son, it's different versus having a daughter. You have a daughter, you are aware of not only
it's the tender side
that, but it's not even your words. It's your actions and how you handle them, because you can crack their whole psyche if you're not emotionally present.
Pause. Well, see, here's the thing. You didn't have a sister, or you don't have a sister, right? I have
an older sister. She was out of the house by the time I showed up. But yeah, you're good.
So did Ruben have that thought process with your older sister?
No clue. I have no idea. She's 12 years older than me.
Okay. So here, I'm going to hopefully can tie this all the way in.
Go ahead.
Because I feel what you're saying, right? So, obviously we both have daughters, and I have two. So my oldest, and this isn't a boasting or pride thing. Like, I didn't know, I was never around kids.
Shout out to Anaya.
Yeah. When I had Anaya, or when we had Anaya, like, I had never really hung around kids outside of my younger cousins. But and they lived up in Indianapolis, and then they would come down, and they eventually moved down here to Texas or whatever. But, like, they were not babies. Mm-hmm. So when I had my daughter 14 years ago, like, that was the first real like, okay, I'm responsible. Not only am I responsible for a child, but, like, being around a baby. So my tone, my conversation was very demonstrative because, well, hell, like, played football my whole life, and that was what I grew up. I played athletics, and that's what I grew up with. Right?
We'll cry about it later on.
But, as she got older, to what you were saying in terms of, like, their psyches being different and fragile, blah, 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 it became very true, because I realized that because I was talking to her as an adult, because I didn't know how to talk the goo goo gaga bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. She was super, super advanced. Like, that child is beyond advanced. Her mother is incredibly smart. I'm not too bad on the intellect or whatever, but she's very advanced. And then on top of that, like, the way that I was communicating with her, it just pushed her forward really, really fast, right? So because we had that dialogue and that cadence, right, I started talking to her like I would an adult, and then that did start to kind of damage the psyche a little bit. So then I had to understand to pull back, because I didn't see – I didn't understand the emotional thing. Like, that's what I was asking you about Ruben and your older sister. Like, you don't really think about that because you're child rearing. Like, you're just trying to put them in the best positions or whatever. So now with Harper, I'm way, way, way more softer because I do have that experience that I have from Anaya. Now, with all that being said, again, I'm going to try to, tie this in full circle. I don't apologize for any, like, for how I'm trying to rear that child. Mm-hmm. And when I say apologize, what I mean is, like, I don't say, I don't start my sentence structure and then say, oh, but this isn't meant to offend you or anybody. Like
oh, no, like, hey, I'm asking you to do this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But see, this like the world that we're in right now does that because of, and I don't even know if cancel culture is still around.
It is, but we're not in that matrix, so
right.
It doesn't matter.
But that matrix is alive and very, very present. You know, anytime you talk about someone that is, you know, LGBTQIA plus, whatever, like that's why we have all those fucking acronyms, like that nobody can keep up with. It used to be, you know, gay, then it was gay and bi, then it was.
It just got it became a lot,
right?
It
because
became
we have to appease everybody, and that's my point. Because if I say something, then I have to preface it and say, well, you know, I don't, you know, like you were saying earlier, you know, nothing against him. Like, you ain't gotta. Why are we defending our thoughts?
Well,
that's what bothers me. And I know we got off on a really, really bad tangent, but I think this is dope. Well, no, by the way, I'm curious, visionaries, if you're still rocking and tuning with us and you like this content, I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain. We're thinking about doing more of this in 2024, where it's just Mo and myself just diving in on mindset and things along that nature. So drop a comment below if it's something that you'd like to hear more about, or shoot us a DM, or hear us more do. Shoot us a DM. We'd love to have it. Here,
it's this is part of the society now, right? Because like you said, like why do I have to apologize for my thoughts and how they affect another person? It's not that we actually quote unquote should, but the other end of the spectrum is people just thinking that they can think and say and do whatever, and there's no consequences or repercussions. That's the extreme end of that that side. That's the extreme end of that pool, right?
So this is watch this. People that have debates or takes, right? They never want to give in. I'm going to give you that because that makes sense to me, right? That is an extreme that you do have to be aware of. Why then? If that's the case, you know, in your example, then KKK could just be walking down the street feeling, you know,
thinking that is just cool, and that nobody should do anything about it.
What you just said. However, and this isn't any, like, you know, disagreement with that statement, because I actually get behind that and support what you just said, but I just feel like we curtail or we pander to.
Ooh, that's a hell of a word, pander.
We do.
It's a good word.
We pander to other people's emotions and feelings from our thoughts. And I don't think you should have to defend your thought. Like, that is your thought. Like, that's how you think and or feel. You know, and maybe you're right, wrong, or indifferent. That's not up for debate. But at least have the ability to express authentically. That's what bothers me, is that we live, because of all of this pandering. I guess now that, like, we're getting into it, like, what really, really bothers me is because of all of this pandering, you never get the authenticity. You never get the real deal.
You don't get the authenticity until the curtain, until certain people go behind a curtain.
So to me, that is a huge waste of time.
It is.
You could have said
people can only handle certain things.
That's on them. That is exactly my point. You don't want to rock with dude because dude ain't moving like you moving. Period. Instead, we live in a culture, in a society where you have to put a semicolon and say, I don't rock with that dude because he ain't moving like I'm moving, but ain't nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, nothing wrong with him at all.
Right.
He's a good dude.
Like, you had to say all that other the niceties, right? Like, that's the world that we live in. You got to say that. But the thing is, the truth is, I have so much weight and pressure on me that I'm focused on my family and the generations behind me. I can't fuck with motherfuckers like that. And that should be what you should be able to say. We just don't live in that culture.
This is true.
Anymore.
Pass collection plate, everybody. Pass collection plate.
That's a heated thing for me, Adam.
That is So that is absolutely 1,000% true in how you just relate that. And yeah, you said, like, there is no love lost. Like, somebody asked me the other day, they were like, have you ever, like, had a falling out with a friend? And I thought about it for a second. I was like,
P.S.
No.
P.S.
He was never my friend. He was never my friend. That was just the one time where you was like, oh, well, wait a minute, there is a bit of a wild animal inside.
Yeah, and that's the only time I ever see that.
Because it was just like, okay, now I am blatantly offended. Like we'll
talk about it offline.
Yeah, I'm extremely offended.
Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, like whatever.
Every time I can get them every time.
Yeah, and then I talked to you about the other stuff the other day, last night too. Whatever. Anyway, so I agree with you on that point, right? And it's just, unfortunately, that's just the part that is the phase of where we are in society now. What I think the turn is going to be, and I'm not a social expert, right? I think the turn's going to be like, we're going to get back to a point. So I think the pendulum swung so far in the wrong way. It always swings back, right? It's just a constant.
Does it?
It's always.
I know you're the history buff, so
always eventually things swing back to where we're just trying to fight to find the happy median.
I think your median moves though. So like if it gets so far
through
out,
evolution, right?
Right. If it swings so far out, your median then.
Yeah, like what was considered a 10 in 1980 is a 1 now.
Right.
But I think we will find our way back as a society to where, one, truth is truth is truth is truth. Versus now we're in this space where, like, well, it's my truth. Or, well, as you say, well, it makes me feel that way. Hey, man, look, the car's red, bro. Don't try to tell me it's purple. Don't try to tell me it's blue or green. That car is red.
It's mauve.
But, well, yeah, right. Like, the car's red, man. Like, hey.
But see, now you've offended everybody who doesn't see it as red.
And to
that's
my point, we're going to get to a point where everyone's going to stop saying, hey, look.
I don't think so.
That car is red, no matter which way you want to slice it.
God needs
that
to burn
Gatorade
this
is
thing down.
green. It ain't yellow. It's green. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. We digress.
Yes,
we digress.
That was good though. That's a little snippet for 2024. Let's do more of that.
Indeed.
So we were talking about you and having a conversation with wifey. You don't rock with do because you're focused on, hey, these are the things I got to do, and I just jumped off on a major tangent.
It's all good. Speaking of, well, we said 2024. Yes, visionaries. Maybe a whole lot more just mow and cuff in 2024.
Cuff and mow.
Whatever. We don't fight about that. Hey, for the record, the email signature says, blessings, cuff and mow. Whatever. No problem. We're on the paperwork. Yeah. So there will be a lot more of just this. And don't get me wrong, there will still be guests. We have our eye on some people for 2024. But yeah, there'll be a lot more of this. And I think, too, we're on this pattern of growth, both personally and professionally and things like that. You're going to get to see a lot more behind the curtain with just us in regards to what it is we're working through and going through on a bi-weekly basis or whatnot. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that for sure.
I want to take this opportunity to say, brother, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, sir.
This was it was not a hard year for me, and I think a lot of people who've heard Uncuffed in that episode are worried or whatever. And let me tell you, I'm totally fine. But it is the reality of it is it was a major transitional year for me, right? Mm-hmm. And so coming into 2023, I knew this was me getting back into the lab, right? And inside of that, you've got to break yourself down. Like you go into the gym, you got to break yourself down to build yourself back up. And so in that, I really have kind of handed the keys over to you. And I just appreciate you. And I mean this sincerely. Like I appreciate you holding it down, keeping us moving forward. Obviously I'm still involved in everything else, but there's just been periods in which, from a transitional perspective, that you got real life, that I have to focus on and things like that. And so
it was fun when you got back in it, though. Remember that phrase? Ryan Cuffey has entered the chat.
Yeah. So, I just want to say I appreciate you. I'm very grateful for you. I thank you for holding it down. And never once was there ever a complaint, any backlash or anything like that. So, you're a real man, and as a man, I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I really do.
No problem at all.
I really do. And also, shout out to Adam. I think he knows how much we, appreciate him I adore Adam for what he does for the show. He's taking us to another level. Like, we're not here today if it's not for Adam.
That is 1,000%.
We're not here today without him. So
1,000%.
That's
shout out to you, Adam.
Yeah, Adam, we got to get you on camera one time, man.
We're gonna we will do that.
2024. Do y'all want to see Adam on camera in 2024? Let us know. Drop a comment below.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, we're not talking about movies.
Yeah. Well, we'll find another topic for you to hop in on. So as we always customarily do,
I want to go hiking with you.
It is time to land the plane.
Did you want to ask me a question about? You want to talk about Colombia a little bit, though? Did you?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
I've heard enough about it. It's all good. Not that sounded terrible. I was. That sounded so terrible.
But you don't have to. You don't have to preface that. I'm okay with that
because I asked you about the food. You brought back some amazing cigars. You brought back some amazing cigars. You should have brought back more. Those are really, really good cigars.
How you know I didn't bring back more?
You could have brought back some rum or something like that. And I think you broke my lighter. That was a great lighter until you got your hands on it.
Listen, bro, this motherfucker here is trash.
Oh, it's trash because you broke it. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so we're gonna wind down the show. Exactly. My lighter was working just fine. I put some gas in it. It was doing all right, and now it don't work anymore.
You and I both know that this lighter wasn't working when we started this show.
Whatever. Anyway, as we land the plane again, shout out to Megan and the good folks at Dr. Goodburn's Tequila. Megan, we appreciate you. Thank you for actually, we know a lot of people with product. We've encountered a lot of people with product, whether it's cigars or alcohol or clothing or accessories, whatever. And I was like, yeah, we'll get y'all something. Megan actually followed through and sent us something. Some of you out there have said, hey, we're going to get y'all some cigars. We're going to get you some apparel. We're going to get you some accessories. And we come up on 2 years now, and we still ain't seen it. My address has not changed. Cuff's address has not changed. Our contact information has not changed. We're still waiting on these accessories and cigars. But Megan, who we met through Will Harris, shout out to Will Harris.
The homie.
Megan, a wonderful woman who's in New York City, she said, I will get y'all some product. Lo and behold, 3 weeks later, I get a bottle in the mail. Shout out to you, Megan Nelson.
I got mine 2 weeks before that.
At Dr. Goodburn's Tequila. But she actually followed through.
Yeah, she did.
Well, we have some people we're still waiting on a 5-pack of cigars. 2 years later, we're still waiting on a 5-pack of cigars.
I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? No, as you say, no love lost. But hey, come on, follow through now. Because when people want hoodies from us, we get it to them.
Yeah.
People want rubber bands from us, we get it to them.
Yeah.
People want shirts, we get it to them.
Visionaries, what do you want
swag
from us?
bags, we get it to them. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. Hey, listen, you're passionate about that. Listen, we're going into the we're in the last quarter of the year. I'm excited. There's a number of things that I'm personally doing that I'm really excited about. I think TVLP will continue to grow, and ultimately we're just trying to touch lives. I think today, one of the few times we just want to kick back and just be real. Mm-hmm. Not to say we're not real on the show, but like
it's just us.
Just let our hair down and really kind of behind the curtain on what dialogue looks like between Mo and myself. So 200, man, we just
kudos to you.
Really
sir.
wanted to celebrate, have a good time, man. I'm proud of us, for everybody that's involved, everybody that's supported. If you are listening to us and you're rocking with us, please share this. We really want to grow this thing. So I'm good, man. I'm really happy.
Well. I'm as well. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. Thank you to Adam behind the scenes on all things production. And thank y'all for tuning in to episode number 200 of the Vision Lab podcast. Let's enjoy the rest of 2023, and we'll see you guys next week.
Blessings.